Welcome to Casa Carlucci.
Yes, we're glad that you're here. Please come on in with us.
We were so lucky this last September to be able to name Casa Carlucci and dedicate this house to the culturally significant and historic residences and buildings of the United States government. And so it's just, we're so fortunate to be here today to be able to take a look at both the house and the gardens.
And one of the legacies that ambassadors do is they leave a gift. And so our gift to the residents is the garden. And we want to take you on a tour.
So let's change our clothes and meet us out back.
Yeah, let's go on a garden tour. To the garden. Last year we were able to bring all of you in physically and do tours ourselves with people, lots of people. This year, because of COVID-19, we're not able to do that. So today we're going to take you on a garden tour virtually, but we're very excited you're here, and we're really happy also to tell you about some of the changes that we have made and the growth that has happened in this past year.
And as we look at gardens, there's a number of different areas here in the backyard, and we look at each part of it as an extension of our house. An extension, it's a different room. And so this is the entryway. When we got here, it was monochromatically green. Now it's full of color, thanks to Mary's picks and my digging a lot of holes.
Yes.
But it's full of color, and it's also, we've added some pottery and some plates. And plates are very special because there's some good stories about plates.
Yes,
please.
We've got some plates up here we'd like to talk about. So
come with us. So last year, during Jardins Abertos, we were approached by a gentleman who was asking about the plates. And with that came a pretty good story.
Yes. Well, what happened is they were from the Azores, and he said, I noticed you have a whole bunch of Alentejo plates on the wall. You need something from the Azores. That was Rui Leao and his wife, Claudia Borges. Lo and behold, a couple weeks later, they brought us a beautiful plate from the Azores. So we're very thrilled to say that we now have plates on the wall from all over Portugal.
So when we arrived at Casa Carlucci, there were a few issues. And one of the biggest problems was there were some diseased trees. So up above, we took out 3 or 4 trees. Down here, we had a couple big trees that we took out. It left a lot of empty space.
Yeah, there was a lot of empty space. And so what we decided to do was to pick up some of the wonderful Portuguese pottery and add a bit of whimsy to the blank wall that was here. We love frogs and snails and plates, all of it actually. And we created for ourselves a very colorful but a very relaxing and quiet place to sit, reflect, and read. All right, George, now my favorite room in the garden, the rose garden.
No surprise, the heart of the garden.
So roses are very important to George and I, and we always plant a rose garden wherever we go. And
Well, the reason this is doubly special is we got here in August of 2017. In June of that year, there was a catastrophic fire that killed a number of people. It was a real disaster. And the second fire occurred shortly after we got here. So we sought out one of our favorite and most special roses, the firefighter rose, and we had that planted here.
So this beautiful red rose, we were able to put 2 beds in. The first bed is dedicated to the first responders for forest fires, both here and in the United States. And our second bed we rededicated just recently to all of the people on the front lines right now fighting COVID-19. From our hearts, we say thank you very much for all of your hard work, and we are honored to have a rose garden dedicated to you.
Thank you. Okay, so this area in back is my favorite area. Every gardener's got a spot that they really like. And this one's mine because it was all ivy and we dug it all up and we replanted everything except for the fruit trees. And the fruit trees are the reason I call this like daiquiri alley. There's lemons, limes, there's bananas, two kinds of oranges, plums. And so you can, and mint, you can make a lot of cocktails out of this area up above here.
That's your favorite thing to do, is to come gather the fruit and make a cocktail. So I love it because once the ivy was all abated, we were able to add, for example, the canna lilies. And then we had volunteer canna lilies just start on their own. We were adding another little room back here of potted plants. And when we abated the ivy back this way, we found that there was a beautiful bougainvillea on the back wall, and now it's thriving.
I don't think it saw the light of day for 10 years.
We planted this area completely, replanted this area, and it's thriving, I would say. It's beautiful with the bright pink and the orange together. It makes it look inviting and a nice place to stroll along.
And a number of the roses that we found in and around, and then also with more that we planted from down below, we started a new rose garden up here with about 12 dozen. And then we come into the area with the pool and so forth in here.
And there's nothing better at the end of a very long day of gardening as jumping in the pool.
Okay, so one of my favorite things about gardening is a little story I have about right here. We were locked down for COVID-19, and our first outing, we went to Playa de Urso, up at Cabo de Roca. And so as we hiked down, it was beautiful, it was a wonderful day, we had a picnic, we came up and this ice plant is all over and it's gorgeous and it was flowering. And so one of the great things about gardening is poaching other people's plants. So we poached some of the ice plant, put it in the car, put it in the ground, it looks great. And so we're hoping by next year it'll cover everything.
And we hope we don't get in trouble for doing that.
Indeed.
George, remember last year during Jardins Abertos when we were able to have everybody here and pose for a picture on this staircase?
Wasn't that great?
It was awesome.
I look forward to being able to do that again next year.
Well, as all gardeners know, we can never throw away a plant. And so this is my plant hospital area. Most gardens have a rehabilitation center, and this is mine. Luckily, some of the roses have done well enough in the rehabilitation plant hospital that we were able to move them up into a real rose garden.
Which means more holes to dig for me.
Yes. One of the greatest things about the garden tour last year is we had people of all ages. In fact, George, do you remember our youngest visitor last year?
Yeah, it was baby Emma. She was like 2 months old. She was just a newborn.
Oh, happy birthday, baby Emma.
That's right. Now that you're a year older, we'd love to have you back.
Yes.
One of the special things about gardening is each room or each area has a special viewpoint. For the lower part, the viewpoint is from the kitchen window. From up here, we have a window up above that every morning when we get out, we walk out and we look, and this is the view, and it's gorgeous. And so everything makes sense from above. That's why I think it's so fun that we're able to use a drone today.
Thank you for joining us today in the garden. We were thrilled that you could be here. Much rather have you in person, but virtually is good as well. We want to thank Jardins Abertos for allowing us to participate in this project.
So we want to welcome everybody back next year. Please come.